Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Elder Kevin Harris, Take the Journey Enterprises, and also one of the panelists of No Marriage Left Behind. I just wanted to take a moment to share with you a couple of things that I was thinking about over the weekend that I believe that would be beneficial to you. Originally, I posted that I was going to talk about how it is not good to compare your marriage or measure your marriage up to a celebrity or an athlete or someone, even anybody else. Because the downfall of that is that you're trying to put your husband or your wife in a certain box that they may not be able to fill. We have to be careful in that because God tailors your wife and your husband for you. And it's nothing wrong with taking counsel or advice within reason, but then you have to realize that you have to figure out what works for your household. You remember me saying all this for the last month that it's all about communication. And it starts off in the beginning. I call this the sunrise moment. When you realize that you both want to go further in your relationship, and then you understand that you want to go into a marriage um, moment. But here's the thing, the first thing it starts off is know who you're marrying. You have to understand that this is so important and pivotal. Now, some people laugh and joke about this and say they'll run a credit check and do different things, do a background. But you actually need to understand who you're dealing with on the front end before children become involved and you get so far along that you can start to saying that it's gonna work itself out. People that are not who they say they are doesn't 9 times out of 10 works itself out. I admonish you to start off with simple conversation, get to know them as a person, and don't rush into something that is so serious. Because again, marriage is a very serious thing. The Bible is explicit when God says marriage is honorable by Him. But we have to understand that when you put yourself in a situation that you did not think through, and this is a very serious moment and also a very enjoyable moment. You can have the best situation, but you have to make sure you're with the right person at the right time. Because if you don't do that, then what happens is you're creating a problem that you're trying to fix within instead of trying to fix on the front end. So you have to make sure that you know this is the person that you're going to call your forever. Okay. If by some chance it doesn't happen, as I told you in a video before, if you're in a dangerous situation, male or female, then you have to get the necessary means to get yourself out. By no means do I advocate for divorce. I'm not an advocate for divorce unless they're under certain circumstances. I'm also not an advocate of domestic violence or some type of abuse, mentally, physically, or spiritually. So you have to make sure you know what you're doing at that particular time. The next thing I want to talk about, if you're going pretty smooth into your marriage, and I call this is the midday moment where things are smoothing out, you guys are leveling out, and everything is going very, very well. I admonish you to not get caught up in comparing your spouse to somebody else or to an entity or a person that's a celebrity, an athlete, or you start talking amongst your friends and say, "Well, I wish my husband was like this, or I wish my wife was like this. It would be so much nicer if my husband treated me like your husband treats you." That to me is a no-no. Do not allow yourself or allow someone to come into your space and give you negative conversation about your spouse. Because what that happens, if you allow it to linger long enough, that seed will breed and you'll start the process of resenting your spouse. You have to be careful in that because, again, comparison is one of the worst things a person can do because you start to see your spouse differently. And that is not, again, that is biblically unsound. And it's not fair to them to compare them to your prior boyfriend or your prior girlfriend. And it's not fair to compare them to your sister's husband or your brother's wife. Because what happens is you're trying to put them in a lens that they're not supposed to be in. Why did you get married? Cliche movie, we have seen it before. Why did you get married? You married them because of the qualities they have. I hope you did not marry them with the hopes of making them out of somebody else. Because if you did that, then you did them a disservice into thinking that I'm going to marry them for X, Y, and Z, but eventually I want them to be A, B, and C. And to me, that is so unfair to the other person. So today I'm just going to be real short on this, is that you make sure you be careful, one, in the sunrise, I call it the sunrise part of your relationship. This is before you get married. Make sure you know things about your future spouse that you need to know. Passionate, hot on the collar, sex, yes, okay, I get it. People marry for that, but you have to have more than that to be sustainable. What is his family like? What is he or she is like? What do they like to do? Do they fly off the handle when things don't go right? Are they calm under pressure? Do they know how to treat you when things are not going so smooth? These are important factors that you have to find out. That's why it's called courting. I know that's a very, very old term used back in the 30s and 40s, but you do need to court each other, and by all means, seek biblical counseling. You need to seek a third party that can see something you don't see. You see what I'm saying? Not saying a person is going to say, I want this is not going to work, and the Lord told me that y'all need to break up. No, you need a third party to sit back and be observant and say, okay, I noticed some things about you. I noticed some things about him. I noticed some things about her. We need to tighten this up in counseling so you guys would go into this relationship with the high probability of success. I am an advocate for counseling. Take the time and talk to a third party that can help you navigate through things that you may find out you did not know. You may not even know that he has a condition that need to be talked about that could affect your future children. You may need to know that, for instance, I've been in cases, I know cases personally, that the future wife did not mention that she could not have kids. So then, now I'm telling you, this is a very, very touchy subject here. There's some people that I know personally, that came into a relationship and did not tell their spouse they cannot have children on both sides. So now that may be a deal breaker for the person that you're going to marry. Say, well, I really want to have kids. And if you're not available, you're not able to do that, then that's a conversation that needs to be had on the front end. I said in previous videos, where do you want to stay? Where do you want to work? Do you want to have kids or not? Are important questions, because you both may agree to not want to have kids and enjoy your life. I know people that have done that, but then there's some people that wanted to have kids and the other person didn't. So then that's a whole nother subject. So then what do? Who compromises in this situation? Do we have kids do you marry the person and hope you change their mind? Or do you just deal with the fact that they don't want to have kids? Or again, I just said before, you come into the relationship thinking one way and not realizing they're not able to. So these are the things, that's why I say, do not compare yourself to other people. Sit down, communicate with your spouse or future spouse, and ask those tough questions. Where do we want to be in the next couple of years, and how are we going to get there? Because those are very, very important questions that need to be had, because unfortunately, every marriage is not made in heaven, and every person should not be married to that person at that point in time. They may be marrying the wrong person, and because of that, those counseling sessions may help you to realize that you're marrying the wrong person. You're marrying the wrong person. So you have to do these things on the front end and make sure that you don't compare your future spouse to anybody else. All right. Your past relationships, your sister, them folks, your brother folks, whatever. Don't compare them to somebody else. Marry them for them. Till next time. Peace.